Thanks. Yes, I'm Jan Pacullis. I represent the Citizens Electoral Council of Australia. We're a 31-year-old political party. I've ran for them 5 times in the last 20 years. I wasn't political before then, and I also didn't vote. Well, I had been voting, but then decided, it wasn't worth voting. There's no one to vote for. Then I came across CEC, sceptical for about 2 years because, couldn't believe it, that they would be telling the truth or they would have any credibility. And so I went down to Melbourne with my husband to check them out and realised they're the real deal and they think really big. They're not trying to just tweak something or even have small government. We need to take responsibility for the future of the country and their posterity. So it's not just about me and my stomach, but what are we doing for the future generations? And they were warning of a systemic global financial crisis, and we still are. But I want to start with this very short poem by Charles Harper, who was a convict in Australia. He wasn't a convict. He was the first generation of Australians that were born, obviously white Australian, currency lad they called him. Both of his parents were convicts. It's called This Southern Land of Ours. With clowns to make our laws. And this is in 1863, or around that time. With clowns to make our laws, and knaves to rule us as of old. In vain our soil is rich, in vain 'tis seamed with virgin gold. But the present only yields us naught, the future only lowers, till we have a braver manhood in this southern land of ours. What would Pygmalion statesmen but a new world prospect blast, by chaining enterprise and thought to the misyielding past, with all its misery for the mass and fraud upholden power, but we'll have a braver manhood in this southern land of ours. And lo, the unploughed future, boys, may yet be all our own, if hearts that love this native soil determine this alone, to sow its fields with crops of truth and border them with flowers. Then we'll have a nobler system in this southern land of ours. And so what he's talking about is not a physical thing about the land. Yes, we all know we need to grow food and have food security, water security, energy security and that kind of thing. But to change the economic system, that's what he was on about, and that's what the CEC is carrying on. We have a 5-point program. Some of you would have received it on the way in, and I'm going to speak briefly on each of these points. The first one is for Glass-Steagall. It's bank separation, and it's the policy of separating the commercial banks from the investment banks. And the reason we need to do this is because we're facing a new global financial crisis worse than the 1930s depression. And we need to do what Franklin Delano Roosevelt did in 1933 to stop the banks from gambling with other people's money and stop the private banking system from getting getting a bailout for their private gambling debts. The Glass-Steagall Bill of 1933 not just ended the depression, but we had a safe banking system for 66 years until Bill Clinton repealed that bill. Now the CEC isn't, 1 minute, oh God, the CEC isn't just talking this stuff. We've written the legislation, Banking System Reform, Separation of Banks Bill. This will veto the bail-in bill, which will steal your deposits when the crash happens, just like they did in Cyprus and Spain and Greece and Portugal and Ireland. And we've written the legislation for a national bank in 1995, which we put in this book, What Australia Must Do to Survive the Depression. So we weren't just born yesterday. We've upgraded it to include derivatives, and we've put in this manual which we produced this year. The next financial crash is certain, end the bankers' dictatorship, time for Glass-Steagall, bank separation and a national bank. We've also got large-scale infrastructure projects outlined in this. The New Silk Road becomes a world land bridge, and we need to work with other nations for economic development and cooperation. Peace comes with development. So that's it. So if you want a qualified candidate, vote for me.